Hello, welcome to Tuesday Talk with a Therapist. I'm your host, Felicia Cameron, a therapist for the great hospitality state of Mississippi. I'm also the owner and founder of Lending a Hand, as well as Self Evaluation of Mississippi. So, welcome. I want to come in and tell you about lessons I learned from traveling to Paris. So, it's been about 2 weeks, and I have been home and so I just want to hop in to get back into Tuesday Talk with a Therapist. Lessons that I learned. Well, this was my second trip traveling alone, a solo trip traveling alone. And so some of the lessons I learned, I might look down, but for me, I learned, and it's no particular order, okay? So with traveling, I learned that for me going overseas to a country that I've never been to, first international travel, that's a whole nother thing. So to become a part of the STEP program, which is a free program. And so I registered to be a part of the STEP program, where I registered to be a part of the STEP program, where I gave, went on the website, through the travel program. I put information about where I was staying at, information about my passport. So just in case if there's anything happen in that particular country, that I can get connected to have access to get help with the STEP program, to get help, like if I lost my passport was stolen, or my family can have access to me as they connect you to the U.S. Embassy. So I give you information about how to get to the local U.S. Embassy, just resources if you're in another country. So registering part of a STEP program. So if you're traveling overseas, it's a free thing that you can register with the STEP program, and that also give you alert about what's going on in that particular country, any requirements. So you'll know ahead. So that was one lesson. Another lesson I learned is to travel do carry on. I did not. I took two carry on bags, and I'm so glad that I did that. Especially if you're traveling by yourself and you're going to somewhere unfamiliar. Lesson I learned from me was to take carry on bag, and I am so glad that I was able to have my luggage with me, the two carry on bags, instead of me I'm not familiar with traveling overseas or big airports such as Atlanta, or when I went to Paris, France, that airport city, that airport, and so traveling, having carry-on bags. And so that was a good tip. If you're not for sure, lesson I learned, it was great that I had my carry-on bags. Um, Also, too, if you're not sure about just traveling alone, making sure that your family or friends know where you're going, doing your research. You're going to another country, like I did to another country, finding out as much as you can about that country. Google, I did a lot of Google, I did a lot of YouTube, finding out that particular country, looking at videos, trying to become familiar about that country, knowing about what type of currency, knowing that I need to exchange some of my money to get euros, including also that I could use my debit card. That's also another tip, before you do travel overseas, making sure that you do let your bank know so you won't have any problems overseas. Because you want to make sure you have some money. So having, knowing that if you have to exchange your money, knowing how that process go and what's the best place. Now, I exchanged my money at the airport. Find out, it's more to do that. So that's a lesson I learned, maybe try another option instead of exchanging at the airport, because I did pay a little bit more for the currency exchange fee. Making sure that you're going to be able to have phone service, especially if you're going to be traveling with a group of people, making sure that y'all are able to communicate. And so where does that mean? Getting an eSIM card or checking with your carrier before you leave to make sure that you're going to be able you are able to use your phone, meaning actually to call your phone, able to use your phone if you have to use your map. So making sure, lessons I learned is to make sure you're able to utilize your phone. And if you're with a group, those particular people you were in a group with, that you were able to communicate with that group. Because there was a moment, I was there with a group of therapists. There's a moment, there was the issue with our phones, so we want to make sure you communicate with each other. Okay. On that note, travel. What particular hotel you at. Lessons I learned is to make sure, even though I went there for a speaking engagement, I spoke about depression in men, how encouraging men to receive treatment as in a form of therapy, to make sure the particular area where you're staying at, even though there's someone hosting you to be there, the travel. I had to pay for my travel there. So not only that, sometimes airlines ticket can be more than what you expect to spend, or you not want to cough up that kind of money at the time frame. I found out a program, affordable. Of course, I don't, this company called Affordable. I came across where you can actually put your airline tickets. I learned that from somewhere. You put your airline tickets online, pay for them almost like a layaway plan. You pay for your airline tickets, and I flew by Delta, so put my airline tickets on layaway, put a deposit, told them how much I want to pay, and I paid so much on it. And at least 2 weeks before my trip, I was able to get my airline tickets, go to the actual Delta website, and everything transferred over. I mean, I didn't have any issues with my airline tickets. So I'll probably put in the description about affordable. That was great. That kind of work, and you can go on their website and tell you more, where you can actually, long as your airline ticket, I think it's over 200, that you can put it on layaway, and you have a certain time frame that where you have to, have it paid off for your airline tickets. And it's just not for overseas. This can be throughout, United States, if you happen to travel and you just want to make sure you budget for that, and having a resource. So that was a good tip that I learned. And on that note, and just even travel, once you get to the location where you're at, how are you going to get around? So I really utilize and learn how to use Uber quite a bit when we're in Paris. So, becoming familiar with the transportation where you're going to, and not, if you purchase tickets for different attractions. I mean, in United States, many times we purchase tickets for attractions, and we assume, okay, my ticket includes meals, this and that, because how we receive in the United States. But just understanding that that might not be the case. And lesson I learned too, I purchased a ticket for attraction that we went to. That was a great attraction, but it did not include meals. So making sure in all that understanding, you get understanding of what are you purchasing. So that's a lesson I learned. And another lesson I learned, that even though making sure, if you don't know the language where you're traveling, especially international, make sure you have some type of translation, Google Translation on your phone that you can utilize, and that you become familiar with it before you travel. That was a lesson I learned, enjoyable lesson. And overall, facing your fear. Yes, I'm a therapist, and many times people come to me because they deal with anxiety, anxious thoughts. And even myself, I have to face my fear and conquer it. And so don't let fear hold you back from exploring the world, or seeing things out there in the world, for stopping you from reaching out there to your goal, or just a living life. And so overall lesson I learned is not letting fear to overtake you. Using those techniques, whether it was breathing, which if I had to do a breathing exercise on a plane, do the breathing exercise, or talking positive to myself, but not facing the fear, or not letting fear hold you back for reaching your goals. Also, one lesson I learned on the plane, because one of my tickets going to France, it took about 8 hours, from Atlanta to France. And I picked one of the tickets in the bag, and it wasn't much leg room. And I'm saying much leg room, and I'm 5 feet. And it wasn't much leg room for me. But I told you I had 2 carry-on bags. I just brought my carry-on bags. So I had one up top and I had one on the bottom. And so that one on the bottom was pretty full. And with me being 5 feet, and I didn't have much leg room with an 8-hour flight, that was something. So the lesson I learned before I came back to Mississippi, lesson I learned was I am going to see, can I get an upgrade for more leg room? And you realize I thought it was going to be so much, but honestly, I only had to pay $30 more. And sometimes the lesson I learned is sometimes we think things cost so much for convenience to help us be comfortable, and it really wasn't much. And I'm so glad that I paid that $30 more for the flight back. But even though my flight bag, I had more leg room, another lesson I learned is too, that even though you got a better seat and you're at a different place, sometimes everybody don't want you in that place. Meaning, yes, I had a better seat and better room, but there was someone sitting next to me of a different culture that was not maybe too happy that I was sitting there. And the whole 8 hours, they were very uncomfortable and almost sitting on the edge of their chair because they didn't want to actually touch the side of my arm. And at one point, I felt some kind of way. But then I had to wait a minute, I deserve to be here. I paid for the ticket, but not only that, I deserve to be here. So let's not learn is when you're invited in a space, or when God has put you somewhere, or when you know you're supposed to be there, or when you have paid the price to be there and someone else feel uncomfortable you be there, that's on them, not you. That's on them. And if they want to be uncomfortable for 8 hours flight, how bad? Be it. I was not. Yeah, I felt some kind of way, but then I had to realize I was meant to be here. I'm going to enjoy here. In the midst of even dealing with fear on a plane, I'm going to be here and enjoy it. Whether you want to be uncomfortable or me being in space, I'm supposed to be here. So lesson I learned is if you're supposed to be somewhere and someone uncomfortable because you are moving and stepping up, that's on them, not you. Good lesson. So overall, this lesson I learned too is allow yourself to be open. Allow yourself to if you want to travel, travel. Don't let, because of what else situation, by myself, don't let that be an excuse. Do your due diligence. Do your research. Travel. And lesson I learned also too, just because, that we deal with a thing called imposter syndrome. Just because you might be a person that you're like, well, who knows my name or who am I? If God has put a light on you and he has a gift in you and he wants to use you, or there's an opportunity for you to shine.
Someone is at the office.
So that is a lesson I learned, and I will get back with you again. Thanks again for Tuesday Talks with a Therapist. I'll see you next time. Thank you.